I'm Victoria Chang, and I'm the Bourne Chair in Poetry and the Director of Poetry at Tech. And this is a long tradition at Georgia Tech. Poetry at Tech, as you may or may not know, resides within the School of Literature, Media, and Communication within the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts. So LMC is what we call our school. And as part of Poetry at Tech, Georgia Tech's Poetry Center, we've had nearly 300 nationally and internationally known poets come to Georgia Tech and read for us over the past 24 years. Amazing, I know. We also wanted to thank the Kenneth and Amy Knespel family for their support of Poetry at Tech, and this is the inaugural Kenneth and Amy Knespel family reading. Ken is Professor Emeritus at the School of LMC, and he was instrumental in helping to found Poetry at Tech. We're happy to have Ken and Amy here with us today. I'd love to thank them here together, so if we could just put our hands together and thank them. I've been reading Marie Howe for as long as I remember, so it's such an honor to have Marie here at Poetry at Tech. She is the author of most recently her new and selected poems published by Norton in 2024, which showcases poems from her 4 previous collections of poetry: The Good Thief, What the Living Do, The Kingdom of Ordinary Time, and Magdalene. This book received the Pulitzer Prize in Poetry just recently. From 2012 to 2014, Marie served as the Poet Laureate of New York State. She is the poet in residence at the Cathedral Church of St. John the Divine. In the poem, The Teacher, there are a few lines that read, "But the room itself, whatever room we might be standing in, assumed an astonishing clarity." I think of Marie Howe's poems like this. They have an astonishing clarity. The word clarity means the quality of being clear and easy to understand. But then there's that beautiful word, astonishing, a word that means great surprise or wonder. Marie Howe's poems may appear to have clarity, meaning they seem easy to understand on the surface, but they have an astonishing clarity, meaning they are so clear they perceive beyond clarity into the ineffable, that they hurt the eyes and the heart and the soul. Howe's poems reflect a deep interior that always has one hand out into the world, up toward the sky, toward something larger, beyond us, beyond existence and time. I have so many favorite Marie Howe poems that there are too many to mention here. But the poem, A Certain Light, has always been one of my favorites. I won't read it so as not to spoil the poem for you in case Marie plans to read it too. But this poem is about the speaker's brother dying and an intimate interaction between siblings in the hospital. I love how this poem stretches across the page with its flat declarative narrative and diction, describing this difficult encounter with such grace. But at the ending, the poem becomes lyrical, astonishingly lyrical, assuming an astonishing clarity. It is simply gorgeously moving. I also love, as I told Marie at lunch today, all of Marie's dog poems about her dog, Jack, which she called her dog husband. When Marie said yes to my invitation to visit us, I was not only excited for myself, but I was even more excited for all of you. I hope you realize, or will soon realize, what a gift and privilege it is for us to have Marie Howe with us here today. Please welcome the luminous, singular Marie Howe.
Hi, everybody. Can you all hear me? It's good to be here. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Travis. Gosh, I knew Tom Lux for a long time. He used to teach at Sarah Lawrence College, where I teach now too. And I miss him very much. I was thinking, I'm trying to, so it's kind of light in my eyes, so forgive me if I look like, I'm looking into the sun that is you. You're all very beautiful and shiny. I thought I would read, I wasn't going to read any poems from What the Living Do about my brother Johnny. Although John, I come from a family of 9 children. I was the oldest girl of this big family, and John was the second youngest in our big family, and he died after living with the AIDS virus in 1989, and we were all educated by his spirit and his courage and his love of his beloved partner, Joe. And when Johnny, gender is such a big question in this country, I was actually thinking about reading another poem. Growing up in the 50s and 60s, in the 60s, if you were a young man, there were many, many arguments about how long your hair was. Maybe some people in this audience remember that. So I want to read a poem about another brother, and if I can, I'm still getting used to this book, forgive me. It's called The Boy. The boy, the boy, the boy, the boy, the boy. This is about my older brother. My brother is walking down the sidewalk into the suburban summer night. White t-shirt, blue jeans, to the field at the end of the street. Hanger's Hideout, the boys called it, an undeveloped plot, a pit overgrown with weeds, some old furniture thrown down there, and some metal hangers clinking in the trees like wind chimes. He's running away from home because our father wants to cut his hair. And in 2 more days, our father will convince me to go to him. You know where he is, and talk to him. No reprisals, he promised. A small parade of kids in feet pajamas will accompany me. Their voices like the first peepers in spring. And my brother will walk ahead of us home. And our father will shave his head bald. And my brother will not speak to anyone the next month. Not a word. Not pass the milk. Nothing. What happened in our house taught my brothers how to leave, how to walk down a sidewalk without looking back. I was the girl. What happened taught me to follow him, whoever he was, calling and calling his name. I loved what Victoria was saying about presence, I'm moved to read a poem about, in which my brother John figures, my younger brother. Is a person coughing out there want some water? No, I mean it really. It can be so awful if you can't stop. It's fine with me, but I can't see you, but. Okay. It's hard when you're coughing and you can't stop. This is a poem called The Gate. And it has to do with the present. I had no, see now I have the problem of the cough. The gate. I had no idea that the gate I would step through to finally enter this world would be the space my brother's body made. He was taller than me, a young man, but grown, himself by then, done at 28, having folded every sheet, rinsed every glass he would ever rinse under the cold and running water. This is what you have been waiting for, he used to say to me. And I would say, what? And he would say, this, holding up my cheese and mustard sandwich. And I would say, what? And he would say, this, sort of looking around. So I'm older now, and I want to begin just want to read you a few new poems. And this is one called Prologue. In the middle of my life, just past the middle, walking along the street with our little dog Jack and a leash. Okay, just past the late middle. And what some might call early old age, on a street crowded with children and tourists, my father dead, my mother dead, my young husband gone from me and grown older, a father, a husband now to someone else. Jason dead, John dead, Jane and Stanley, and Lucy, and Billy, and Tony, and now Richard dead. I came to the edge, and I did not know the way. This is followed by a poem called Postscript. What we did to the earth, we did to our daughters, one after the other. What we did to the trees, we did to our elders, stacked in their wheelchairs by the lunchroom door. What we did to our daughters, we did to our sons, calling out for their mothers. What we did to the trees, what we did to the earth, we did to our sons, to our daughters. What we did to the cow, to the pig, to the lamb, we did to the earth, butchered and milked it. Few of us knew what the bird calls meant or what the fires were saying. We took of earth and took, and the earth seemed not to mind until one of our daughters shouted. It was right in front of you, right in front of your eyes, and you didn't see. The air turned red, the ocean grew teeth. Here's a poem called Reincarnation. Anybody in this room believe in reincarnation? There's a few. Thank you for being in the front row. Anybody else? Reincarnation? Possible? Maybe. Reincarnation. Sometimes, when I look at our dog Jack, I think he might be my radical American history professor. Come back to make amends. He gazes at me so sorrowfully. What is it, Jack, I say? Why do you look like that? But Jack doesn't answer. He lies down and rests his head on his paws. Black hair covered nearly all of that man's body, thick under his blue Oxford shirt when I put my hand there. Perhaps that accounted for the bow tie, the pipe, the tweed cap. This time, I can teach him to sit and to stay. Stay, I say to Jack, who looks at the treat in my hand, and then at me, and at the treat, and then at me, and he stays. Come, I say to Jack. But Jack does not always come. Sometimes he sits and looks at me a long time, as when my professor would lean back in his chair, draw on his pipe, and gaze at me. But when I hold a treat, Jack comes, and I remember how the professor would lick dripping honey from the jar lick peanut butter from the knife. A little stubborn, our dog Jack. Shy, we thought. Until the morning my daughter jumped on my bed and Jack sprang at her growling. And the next morning when he rushed towards her growling and bit her skirt and tore it and bit her and broke her skin. And when I went to collar him, bit me, snarling and bit and bit. That's when I was pretty sure he was my history professor. The vet said this happens more often than you'd imagine. He must always be tethered, she said, until he can be trusted. He must learn that you and your daughter come first, and no more couch, and no more sleeping in the bed with you, Mama, not ever. I finally left that man so late at night it was nearly dawn, picking up my boots by the door, stepping down the 2 flights, then running towards the car. What can I say? Jack may be my American history professor come back after all these years to make amends. Or Jack may be actually himself a dog. So I love that Rick read poems written during the epidemic that we all lived through. Many of us lived through, many of us did not. And this poem came to me during that time, but it was it was another voice. It was such another voice that I called the poem What the Earth Seemed to Say. What the Earth Seemed to Say, 2020. Do you still believe in borders now? Birds soar over your maps and walls and always have. You might have watched how the smoke from your own fires traveled on winds you couldn't see, wafting over the valley and up and over the hills and over the next valley and the next hill. Did you not hear the animals howl and sing, or hear the silence of the animals no longer howling? Now you know what it is to be afraid. You think this is a dream? It is not a dream. You think this is a theoretical question? What do you love more than what you imagine is your singular life? The water grows clearer, the swans settle and float there. Are you willing to take your place in the forest again, to become loam and bark, to be a leaf falling from a great height, to be the worm who eats the leaf and the bird who eats the worm? Look at the sky. Are you willing to be the sky again? You think this lesson is too hard for you? You want the time out to end. You want to go to the movies as before, to sit and to eat with your friends. It can end now, but not in the way you imagine. You know the mind that has been talking to you for so long, the mind that can explain everything? Don't listen. You were once a citizen of a country called I don't know. Remember the boat that brought you there? It was your body. Climb in. Chainsaw. There's always a chainsaw somewhere. The high whine of a drill. Somebody building something or tearing it down, fastening metal to metal. Almost everywhere, the sound of the human will, the bluster of engine, the grind of a blade, the wheel, hammering, construction, repair. Someone nailed to a cross, someone leashed, lashed, someone hung from a scaffold. Listen, the squeak of the rope, the hammering. Kill him with his own gun, one woman shouted. Kill him with his own gun. What have we made? What are we making? And who or what made us that we should make such things as we do and did? We grow smaller. We break things. then turn to each other and beg for what no human can give. Here's another poem with Jack in it, the dog. Jack and the Moon. After driving home through the forest, I curled into bed to sleep, but Jack wouldn't let me. He whined and barked, high-pitched barks I'd not heard before. No, I said from under the blankets, no. Still he barked and paced and paced and barked. No, Jack. Then yelped, strange high yelps followed by low growls, as if he might, by the mere scope and scale of his pleading, persuade me, until I did finally throw off the covers and open the front door, through which he hurried, not to sniff or to pee, but to sit on the lawn, his back to me, a small white dog, facing the moon, lit by a light so bright I could have read these words within it. And when I went to fetch him, he scooted farther away to sit tucked into himself, gazing into the flooded distance. A very cold night. I stood a while at the open door, calling, Jack, Jack, come now. Willful, stubborn dog. And when he didn't come, I curled up on the couch and wrapped in a shawl and dozed for I don't know how long, then woke, went again to the door, and said quietly, Jack. It was then he turned and came in, cold and calm, soaked with the moon. I was trying to understand the cosmos, trying to understand Stephen Hawking's book. Maybe you guys are smart. You probably did understand Stephen Hawking's book. But when he believes in the Big Bang theory, you know, that once everything that is was this tiny, tiny, tiny matter that blew up into everything. How many people believe that here? Yeah, this is a technology school, right? You guys, you know this stuff. I loved his book. I loved the last chapter, which sort of said more clearly what he was saying all along, but I couldn't understand. Anyway, I'm going to finish with this, and I wrote this. Just a wonderful woman named Maria Popova. Is anybody aware of her? Yeah, some of you know. She sent out brain pickings and then she changed it to the marginalia, and it's quite something. She curates all these ideas and connects everybody to everything. She's a genius, and it's beautiful. So she holds an event every year called The Universe in Verse, and she has poets and scientists all come and read and talk, and it's wonderful. So I wrote this for Maria's event after Stephen Hawking. He had just died. And I was really asking this of all of us. The singularity, which is what that original matter is called. Do you sometimes want to wake up to the singularity we once were? So compact, nobody needed a bed, or food, or money. Nobody hiding in the school bathroom, or home alone, pulling open the drawer where the pills are kept. For every atom belonging to me as good belongs to you. Remember? There was no nature, no them, no tests to determine if the elephant grieves her calf or if the coral reef feels pain. Trashed oceans don't speak English or Farsi or French. Would that we could wake up to what we were when we were ocean. And before that, to when sky was earth and animal was energy and rock was liquid and stars were space and space was not at all. Nothing. Before we came to believe humans were so important, before this awful loneliness, can molecules, we call it, what once was, before anything happened, no I, no we, no one, no was, no verb, no noun, only a tiny, tiny dot, brimming with is, all, everything, home. Thank you.
Wow, that was amazing. Thank you so much for coming out tonight for our inaugural Kenneth and Amy Knespel family reading at Poetry at Tech. Thank you so much to Marie Howe and Rick Barrett. Let's give them another big round of applause. We're so grateful to our donors at Poetry at Tech, such as Margaret T. and Henry C. Bourne Jr., Henry Bourne III, Dr. Wayne Clough, Bruce McKever, Ken and Amy Knespel, Janie Crow, and many others. We're also grateful for the continued support of the School of Literature, Media, and Communication and our school chair, Kelly Ritter, as well as the Ivan Allen College of Liberal Arts and our dean, Amanda Murdy. If you love poetry, writing, or reading, come take classes with us at LMC. We're happy to welcome you into the world of the imagination, the ineffable, and the incantatory spell of poetry. Thank you to our small but mighty team at Poetry at Tech, which includes myself, Travis Denton, and our student intern, Ren Adkins. Mark your calendars for February 19th, where we will be welcoming the wonderful poet Layli Long Soldier and the winner of the Georgia Poetry Prize, Michael Joseph Walsh. April 9th and 10th, we will be trying something a little different this year, which is to have an international poetry and translation event, where we'll be welcoming 3 poets and their matching translators to campus for reading and a panel discussion. Please get your books signed by our poets. They are eager to connect with you. We will have helpers to manage the lines and ask you to be mindful of the lines behind you as you shower our poets with love. As part of our mission to scatter poetry everywhere like joy, as I always say, and to help you build your own poetry book library, we give away 50 copies of each of our poets' most recent book. So I just checked, and unfortunately there aren't any of the free books left, but there are books for sale, including many of the other books of these poets. So please support a cappella books by purchasing other books if you so have the desire and the means. And we have beautiful letterpress poetry cards by Expedition Press by all sorts of poets. So please pick up a free card, those are free, if you didn't manage to get a book. Please walk, don't run. And thank you for coming, and we hope to see you again soon.
I'll finish it.